let us start revising this P block elements, unit 7. I hope you can see the screen, dear student.
Yes,
Can
sir.
you see the screen?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
What is
Yes,
written on
sir.
the screen?
Yes.
P block element.
P block elements. So
Element.
thank you for your reply. So now let us start studying about the P block element. You know what is the speciality of P block element? The speciality of P block element is its diversity in chemical properties. So diversity in chemistry is the hallmark of P block elements, manifested in their ability to react with the elements of S block, D block and F block elements at the same time, as well as they even react with the P block elements too. So here we should start studying about the group number 15 elements, and we shall start our study with the group number 15 elements. Group number 15 includes the nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, and bismuth. As we go down the group, there is a shift from non-metallic to metallic character via or through the metalloid character. Nitrogen and phosphorus are non-metals. Um, Arsenic and antimony, As and Sb are the metalloids. Arsenic and antimony are the metalloids, whereas bismuth is a typical metal. Now we should study the occurrence. How are they found into the nature? How do they exist into the nature? Molecular nitrogen comprises of 78% by volume of the atmosphere. So we know that almost 78% of the air is made up of nitrogen. So this is how nitrogen exists into the atmosphere, my dear students. It's easy. Next, nitrogen occurs as a sodium nitrate, NaNO3, and potassium nitrate. Please remember, my dear students, that this sodium nitrate, NaNO3, is known as Chile salt peter, and potassium nitrate, KNO3, is known as the Indian saltpeter. So these are the name that has been given uh, for their country. So Chile is also a country and India is also a country. In plants and animals, nitrogen is found as a proteins. So we are well aware that proteins are made up of amino acids and amino acids have nitrogen in them. Phosphorus occurs in the minerals of the apatite family. So this is the general formula for the mineral of the apatite family, Ca9PO4 6. Ca9PO4 6. This Ca9PO4 6 is 3 multiplied by Ca3PO4 twice. When you multiply this Ca3PO4 twice, calcium phosphate 3 times, it gives us Ca9PO4 6 and CaX2. Here X can be fluorine, chlorine, or OH. So we can have the various different types of apatites. Let us study the examples of the different types of apatites. If we have Ca9PO4 6 CaF2, that is what it is known as the fluorapatite. If we have Ca9PO4 6 CaCl2, it is known as a chloropatite. And if we have Ca9PO4 6 CaOH twice, it is known as the hydroxyapatite. So this is how, my dear students, we study the various minerals which belong to the apatite family. Apatites are the main components of the phosphate rocks. So we have lots of rocks in our surrounding and or into the environment, and these phosphate rocks generally are made up of our apatite family rocks or apatite family minerals. Phosphorus is an essential constituent of animal and plant matter. So in animals and plants, phosphorus is available. It is present in bones as well as in the living cells. So we can say that phosphorus is present in our bones, and phosphorus is also present in our living cells. Do you know where will you find into the living cell phosphorus? Can any of you answer? Where will you find in the living cells this phosphorus? Okay, if the biology students can answer, NADP.
Cell membrane.
What is NADP? Nobody will answer. You know about ATP and ADP?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me the full forms if you remember.
Adenosine triphosphate,
Very
adenosine
good. So you
diphosphate.
can see the phosphate there. You know, you have adenosine triphosphate, adenosine diphosphate, nicotinamide adenosine diphosphate, NADP, or reduced NADP. These are the things you can study into the Krebs cycle. So this is how you can see that even in your living cells, you have various types of phosphorus which are present. Phosphoproteins are also present, especially into the milk and eggs. So in milks and eggs, phosphoproteins are present. My dear students, arsenic, antimony, and bismuth are mainly found into the sulfide minerals. So please remember that arsenic sulfide or bismuth sulfide or antimony sulfides are very well known, and they are generally found into their sulfides. Let us study the electronic configuration of the various elements present in group number 15. In group number 15, nitrogen, helium 2s2, 2p3, phosphorus, neon 3s2, 3p3, arsenic, argon 4s2, 3d10, 4p3, antimony, krypton 5s2, 4d10, 5p3, and bismuth, xenon 6s2, 4f14, 5d10, and 6p3. So this is how you can see that there is a lot of variety into the electronic configuration of the group 15 elements. The valential electronic configuration of these elements is ns2 and p3. The s orbital in this element is completely filled and p orbital are half filled, my dear students. The s orbital in this element is completely filled and p orbitals are half filled, making their electronic configuration extra stable. So you can see that, see, if you look into the ns2 and p3, you will realize that ns is completely filled, but this p is half filled. We know that completely filled and completely half filled electronic configurations are extra stable, and that is why the electronic configuration of these elements are extra stable. Now we should study about the atomic and ionic radii. Covalent and ionic radii in a particular state, that means in the solid state, liquid state, or gaseous state, covalent and ionic radii increases in the size as we go down the group. So as we go down the group, the covalent and ionic radii increases. There is a considerable increase in the covalent radius from nitrogen to phosphorus. However, from arsenic to antimony to bismuth, only a small increase is observed. So if you move from arsenic to antimony and antimony to bismuth, definitely the radius increases, but the increase is not as big as it was found from the nitrogen to phosphorus. A small increase in the radii from arsenic to bismuth is due to the inner core electronic configuration. My dear students, you can see here that if you look into the inner core electronic configuration, here 3d10, 4d10, and here 24 electrons are filled into the inner shell, and that is why the increase into the size is actually affected by the inner core electronic configuration. 10 electrons in D and 14 electrons in F, they are filled inside or in the inner core, and that is why the size does not increase as it was expected. That is what we have discussed into the previous. So this is how, my dear students, you can easily understand that when the electron goes into the n-1 or n-2 shell, then definitely the size should not increase as it was expected, but still the size increases even when you go from arsenic to antimony and antimony to bismuth. Let us study about the ionization enthalpy. Ionization enthalpy decreases down the group. So if you go down the group, ionization enthalpy decreases. This is the general trend due to the gradual increase into the atomic size. Because of the extra stable half-filled electronic configuration, we have seen that the S is completely filled, my dear students, and P is completely half-filled. We have seen that P is completely half-filled. So they have the extra stable electronic configuration and smaller size. The ionization enthalpy of group 15 element is much greater than that of group 14 elements in the corresponding period. So please remember that the ionization enthalpy is much more greater than group 14 elements for group 15 elements. Here an important point which I should tell you is that generally when we go left to right, the value of ionization energy increases. But here in case of the group 15 elements, the ionization enthalpy of group 15 elements are also found greater than group 16 elements uh, because my dear students, this group 15 elements have extra stable electronic configuration. So if we think of the first ionization enthalpy of nitrogen and first ionization enthalpy of oxygen, then the first ionization enthalpy of nitrogen as compared to oxygen is going to be greater because nitrogen has got extra stable electronic configuration. The nitrogen has got 2s2 2p3, whereas oxygen has got 2s2 2p4. So 2p4 is not much stable, but 2p3 is much stable, and that is why removing the first electron from 2p3 is very difficult, and that is why the first ionization enthalpy delta I H1 of nitrogen is greater than the first ionization enthalpy of oxygen. At the same time, the first ionization enthalpy of nitrogen is also greater than the first ionization enthalpy of carbon also. So please remember that the first ionization enthalpy of nitrogen is greater than carbon. The first ionization enthalpy of nitrogen is even greater than oxygen. Generally what happens when you go left to right, the value for ionization enthalpy or the non-metallic character increases, and that is why the value for ionization enthalpy increases. But here when we compare the first ionization enthalpy of nitrogen and oxygen, then the first ionization enthalpy of nitrogen is even greater than the first ionization enthalpy of oxygen. The order of successive ionization enthalpy as expected, you can see that for first ionization enthalpy is smaller than second ionization enthalpy, and second ionization enthalpy is smaller than the third ionization enthalpy. Now let's study about the electronegativity. The electronegativity value in general decreases down the group. So as you go down the group, the electronegativity will decrease with increase in the atomic size. However, amongst the heavier elements, the difference in electronegativity is not much. So my dear students, as we go down the group, it is general trend that the electronegativity decreases. But if you go into the arsenic, antimony and bismuth, then definitely the electronegativity decreases, but the decrease in that is not much as it was seen into the first two elements, that is the nitrogen and phosphorus. All the elements of this group are polyatomic. So all these elements, they are not seen monoatomic, but they are all the polyatomic. Nitrogen exists as a diatomic. Nitrogen exists as a diatomic gas, while all the others are solids. So nitrogen is only gas, all the others are solids. Metallic character increases down the group, and that is why we pass through the non-metals, nitrogen, phosphorus, then metalloids, arsenic and antimony, and the last element is a typical metal, that is bismuth. Nitrogen and phosphorus are non-metals, arsenic and antimony are metalloids, and bismuth is a metal. This is due to the decrease in the ionization enthalpy. As you go down the group, ionization enthalpy decreases and metallic character increases, and increase in the atomic size. The boiling point in a gradual increase from top to bottom in the group. So boiling point also increases as you go down the group, because first element is gas, whereas the last element is having metallic bond and it is a typical metal. But melting point increases up to arsenic, and then my dear students decreases up to bismuth. So this is the special characteristics. If you can remember, my dear students, that for group 15 elements, if you go down the group, the melting point increases from arsenic, from nitrogen to phosphorus, but from arsenic to antimony and bismuth, the melting point increases. So in liquid state, they possess the higher melting points. Except nitrogen, all the elements show allotropy. So nitrogen does not show allotropy, but all the other elements show allotropes, as we have seen in case of the carbon. Here also you will study the allotropes of phosphorus and sulfur, or we have already studied them, we are just revising. Then my dear students, let us study about the chemical properties. First we will study the trends into the oxidation state. The common oxidation state of these elements are -3, +3 and +5. The tendency to exhibit -3 oxidation state decreases down the group due to the increase in the size and due to increase into the metallic character. Metals generally show the positive oxidation state. In fact, last member of the bismuth hardly forms any compound in -3 oxidation state, but still some of the bismuthide has produced, and these all bismuthides are produced, and in bismuthides boron is having -3 oxidation state. The stability of +5 oxidation state decreases down the group. The only well characterized Bi +5 compound is BiF5. So bismuth only make one compound in +5 oxidation state, that is bismuth pentafluoride. All the other halides or all the other compounds of bismuth in +5 oxidation state are not stable. The stability, or we can say that they are not stable, they are reduced to Bi +3, and that is why they are good oxidizing agent. The stability of +3 oxidation state increases down the group. Now, my dear students, in P block, whenever we go down the group, the stability of lower oxidation state that differs by 2 increases because of a special phenomena that we have studied. It is known as the inert pair effect. So due to inert pair effect, if you go down the group, the stability of +3 oxidation state increases, and bismuth show +3 oxidation state as its most stable state. Please remember, my dear students, due to inert pair effect, as you go down the group, the stability of +3 oxidation state increases. So Bi3 is more stable as compared to the Bi +5. Due to this, as Bi3 is more stable than Bi +5, what are the consequences that we see, my dear students? Let us study. BiCl3 is more stable than BiCl5. Therefore, BiCl5 is a good oxidizing agent. BiH3 is more stable than BiH5. So BiH5 is even a good oxidizing agent. Bi2O5 is a good oxidizing agent, but Bi2O3 is more stable than Bi2O5. Antimony show +5 oxidation state more stable than +3, and therefore, my dear students, Sb2O3 is less stable than Sb2O5. SbCl3 is less stable than SbCl5. SbCl3 is a reducing agent. Please remember, because Sb3l3 is not stable, so it oxidizes itself to SbCl5, and thus it itself is oxidized, so it is a very good reducing agent. Sb+3 is a good reducing agent in nature, and it is less stable than Sb+5. So these are the various consequences, my dear students, that we can study due to that we feel or that we observe due to the inert pair effect. Now, dear students, let's study about the oxidation state of nitrogen. Nitrogen shows all oxidation states ranging from -3 to +5 in its compound. So let us study the various oxidation states, my dear students, shown by nitrogen. Here you can see that nitrogen is -3 in ammonia, -2 in NH2, which is known as hydrazine, -1 is NH2OH, which is hydroxylamine. It is having 0 oxidation state in N2, +1 oxidation state in N2O, that is dinitrogen oxides, +2 oxidation state in nitrous oxide. With this N2O is also known as laughing gas. +3 is known as dinitrogen tetroxide. +4 is seen into the NO2 nitrogen dioxide. +5 is seen into the dinitrogen pentoxide as well as the nitric acid. So you can see, my dear students, that nitrogen show all oxidation state from -3 to +5, and all these compounds are found quite stable, and that is why we can understand the variation into the oxidation states of nitrogen. Phosphorus also show -3, +3, +5 oxidation state, and apart from that, it also show +1 as well as +4 oxidation state in some of their oxoacids. In case of nitrogen, all oxidation state from +1 to +4 tend to disproportionate in acid solution, my dear students. So let us understand the disproportionation reactions of the compounds of nitrogen. You can see that HNO2 disproportionate to give HNO3 and NO. So 3HNO2 gives HNO3 plus H2O plus 2NO. You can see that +3 oxidation state oxidized to +5, and +3 oxidation state reduces to +2. Same way 3NO2 plus H2O, that gives 2HNO3 plus NO, so plus 4 oxidation state oxidized to plus 5, and same way plus 4 oxidation state reduces to plus 2. So this is what we can see, that there are various disproportionation reactions, and we have seen that the lowest and the highest oxidation state, they cannot disproportionate, but the other mediocre oxidation state, they disproportionate. Let us see the disproportionation reactions of the phosphorus. Phosphorus in the form of P4, which is having zero oxidation state. In the alkaline medium, it disproportionates to give phosphine and NH2PO2. You can see that zero oxidation state is oxidized to reduced to -3 and oxidized to +1. Same way in case of the H3PO3, +3 oxidation state is oxidized to +5 and +3 oxidation state is reduced to -3. So here we have the examples of the various oxidation state of phosphorus. You can see on your screen, my dear students, that phosphorus show the various oxidation state. You can see that the various oxidation state of phosphorus in -3 or phosphorus in phosphine is available as -3. Phosphorus in H3PO2 have +1 oxidation state. In H3PO3, phosphorus has got +3 oxidation state. In H3PO4, phosphorus has got +5 oxidation state. At the same time, in P4 molecule, phosphorus has got zero oxidation state. So you can see that -3, 0, +1, +3, and +5 are the variable or various oxidation state that we can find into the phosphorus. In phosphorus, nearly all intermediate stable intermediate oxidation state disproportionate into +5 or -3, or in both into the alkali medium as well as in the acidic medium. +3 oxidation state in case of arsenic, antimony, and bismuth become more stable with respect to disproportionation, and that is why generally the +3 oxidation state of arsenic, antimony, and bismuth does not disproportionate. Nitrogen is restricted to the maximum covalence of 4 heavier elements due to the vacant d orbital expand their covalence up to 6, and that is what you can see, that phosphorus can make PF6 minus, which is having 6 covalence of the phosphorus. Now, my dear students, we want to study about the anomalous properties of nitrogen. Nitrogen being the first element of this group show anomalous behavior, and it is not similar to the another element of the same group. Let us see how it is not similar to the another element of the same group. Nitrogen differs from the rest of the members of the group due to its small size. Now, what are the reasons why nitrogen is not similar to the other elements? The first one is small size. Next one is high electronegativity, then high ionization enthalpy, and non-availability of the vacant d orbitals. Nitrogen has unique ability to form p-pi-p-pi bond. Remember, p-pi-p-pi bonds are possible when the nitrogen makes multiple bonds. So we can even write p-pi-p-pi multiple bond with itself as well as with the other elements having small size and high electronegativity like carbon and oxygen. The heavier elements means phosphorus, arsenic, antimony. The heavier elements of these groups do not form p-pi-p-pi bond. Now, why these elements cannot form p-pi-p-pi bond? Because the orbitals or the atomic orbitals of these elements like phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, their orbitals are big, large, and diffuse, that they cannot have effective overlapping with the p orbital, because p orbital requires the lateral overlapping, and that is generally possible either in case of the sp or it is possible in the case of pp, but d orbital cannot make proper overlapping with the p orbital, and that is why and they have their d orbitals. So d pi p pi bond is possible in case of the heavier elements, but they cannot make p pi p pi bond because their p orbitals are larger due to higher value of n. Due to higher value of n, their p orbitals are larger and diffuse, and as their p orbitals are larger and diffuse, they cannot have the overlapping with the smaller p orbitals. Let me explain you, my dear students. Suppose you have such a big p orbital and then you have such a small p orbital, then the overlapping is literally difficult, and that is why the p orbitals of the elements like arsenic, antimony, and phosphorus, their p orbitals are bigger in size, so they cannot do a good overlapping with the small p orbitals of nitrogen, and that is why they can, or the smaller elements other than nitrogen even, like oxygen and carbon, and that is why they cannot form p pi bond, but they can form d pi p pi kind of bond. So d pi p pi bond is possible in the heavier elements like phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, but p pi p pi kind of bond is not possible. Thus, nitrogen exists as a diatomic molecule with a triple bond between two atoms. So you can see that nitrogen can make triple bond due to its ability to form p pi kind of bonds, or p pi kind of multiple bond, and that is why nitrogen makes two triple bond. That means two p pi kind of bond, and due to the small size, this pp overlap is much possible in nitrogen, and thus nitrogen stabilizes itself by making triple bond between two atoms of nitrogen. The single nitrogen bond is very weak as compared to the single pp bond, but triple nitrogen bond and triple bond end enthalpy is very high, which is 941.4 kilojoule per mole, and that is why nitrogen can exist as a diatomic molecule which is quite stable, or we can say it is inert even at normal temperature or room temperature. Due to high bond dissociation enthalpy for triple bond and high enthalpy of atomization, nitrogen is almost inert at room temperature, thus forms almost 78% of the air. See, nitrogen is present in a large amount into the air because it cannot combine at room temperature. So normal temperature, nitrogen behaves like an inert gas, and it does not combine with the other element, and that is why it can remain into the air without reacting with the other elements, and thus it is found in a huge amount into the air. As nitrogen single bond is weak, but phosphorus, arsenic, antimony single bonds are very strong. Thus, by making triple bond, nitrogen exists as a diatomic molecule, but phosphorus as pp bond, single bond is quite strong. Phosphorus can exist as a p4 molecule, and that is why we can say that the catenation property of phosphorus is greater than the catenation property of nitrogen. As nitrogen bond is weaker, so why this nitrogen bond is weaker? Nitrogen bond is weaker due to the small size of nitrogen atom. This bond length nn is very small, so there is an inter-electronic repulsion. Please remember that there is an inter-electronic repulsion between the non-bonding or lone pairs of nitrogen. As the bond length is very small, both the atoms comes quite near to each other. Even the p pi kind of multiple bonds are also formed, and that is why this nitrogen comes quite near to each other. So there is an inter-electronic repulsion between the non-bonding pair or lone pairs of nitrogen, and thus nitrogen single bond is quite weaker. But due to the presence of the multiple bond, nitrogen as a diatomic molecule quite stable and even inert at room temperature. The catenation tendency is weaker in nitrogen as compared to the phosphorus and other elements. Phosphorus bond is strong and long, so P4 is possible, and that is why our phosphorus shows the more catenation property. Dear students, in exam, you may be asked such all these reasons that why phosphorus has more catenation property, why nitrogen single bond is weaker, why nitrogen exists as a diatomic molecule. So these all questions you can easily answer by knowing all these facts, and you can now easily answer all these kind of questions. Or why nitrogen can make p pi bond, but the other heavier elements like phosphorus, arsenic, they cannot make p pi bond. So please remember these facts and answer the questions into the exams. Another factor which affects the chemistry of nitrogen is the absence of the d orbital in its valence shell. We know that nitrogen is having two helium 2s2 2p3, my dear students. In n is equal to 2, my dear students, d is not possible, not available, because 2d is not possible, and thus nitrogen does not have any vacant d orbitals. So besides restricting its covalence up to 4, nitrogen has maximum covalence 4 possible. Nitrogen can have oxidation state +5, my dear students, but its covalence is limited up to 4. Nitrogen cannot form d pi p pi bond. Please remember that small orbital of nitrogen cannot make d pi p pi bond as the heavier elements can. So you can see that phosphorus exists as R3p double bond O, where this extra or multiple bond is d pi p pi bond. R3p double bond CH2 here. This is the multiple bond of D orbital of phosphorus and p orbital of carbon. So again, this is possible due to the d pi p pi kind of bond, and that is why R3 N double bond O is not possible, or R3 N double bond CH2. These kinds of compounds are not possible in case of the nitrogen. This R represents the alkyl group, that may be CH3, C2H5 and so on. Phosphorus and arsenic can form d pi kind of bonds also with transition metals with their compounds, like phosphorus can make PC2H5 thrice, arsenic can make arsenic C6H5 thrice. So you can see that either ethyl group, this is what it is known as the phosphorus triethynide, or arsenic tribenzyl, or arsenic triphenyl, as a ligand, my dear students, they can form, and these kind of compounds are possible due to the d pi kind of multiple bond possible, and they can behave as a ligand. And here you can see that such compounds are not possible in case of nitrogen. So due to the non-availability of vacant d orbital, nitrogen cannot form d pi p pi bond as well as d pi bond, whereas the phosphorus, arsenic and antimony, they can form the d pi p pi as well as d pi kind of bonds, and thus they can have the compounds with organic groups like ethyl, phenyl, or CH2, or we can say ethene group also. Now, my dear students, we are going to study about the reactivity towards hydrogen. Dear students, if you cannot understand anything, you can stop me and ask me the questions if it is needed. Do you understand everything?
Yes.
Do you have any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay, then let's move towards the reactivity towards hydrogen. All the elements of group 15 form hydrides. They form the hydrides of EH3 type, where E is equal to nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony and bismuth. The hydrides of group 15 elements show regular gradation in their properties. My dear students, it is interesting to study the chemistry of their hydrides or their properties of their hydrides. Let us study them one by one. First, we will study the stability of hydrides. You can see that as you go down the group, the stability of hydride decreases. This is what we can understand by looking into the values of bond dissociation enthalpy in kilojoule per mole. You can see as you go from NH3 to PS3, the value of bond dissociation enthalpy keeps on decreases, and that is why the stability of this hydride decreases from NH3 to PS3, PS3 to ASS3, and ASS3 to SBS3. So why BiS3 is the strongest reducing agent among all the hydrides? This is the question. Why BiS3 is the strongest reducing agent among all the hydrides? So for that we need to understand the reducing character. If you look into the reducing characters of the hydrides of group 15, as we go down the group, the reducing character increases. So ammonia is the most weak reducing agent, whereas BiS3 is the strong reducing agent. NH3 cannot easily release H due to the high bond dissociation enthalpy. My dear students, for reduction we need hydrogen, and ammonia cannot release the hydrogen because ammonia cannot easily release the hydrogen because it has got very strong bond with nitrogen and hydrogen, and it has got very high bond dissociation enthalpy. But if you go down the group, the amount of bond dissociation enthalpy decreases. The lowest bond dissociation enthalpy is with the bismuth. So BiS3 has got very small bond dissociation enthalpy, thus hydrogen can be easily released by BiS3, and thus it has got very good reducing character. So, NH3 is mild reducing agent, please remember, while BiS3 is a strong reducing agent. Then my dear students, we have next characteristic to study about. is the order of basicity. Ammonia is the strongest base, whereas BiS3 is the weakest base. So you can see that as you go down the group, the basic character decreases. Now, why basic character decreases? Or let us study even about the order of bond angle, HEH. As you go down the group, this bond angle also decreases. Ammonia has got the highest bond angle 107.8 degree, whereas the bismuth has got only the bond angle of 91.3 degree. Basic character depends upon the availability of lone pair on the atom. Please remember that the basic character of the hydride depends upon the uh, availability of the lone pair found on particular atom. While going down the group, my dear students, bond angle decreases and basic character also decreases. Why this happens? Let us understand. To understand that, just have look to this figure, my dear students. You can see that I have shown you a figure here. In this figure, we have drawn the NH3 as well as PH3. You can see that nitrogen has got small size and PH3 has got bigger size. The bond angle in nitrogen is 107.8 degree. That means this bond angle is bigger. But if you look into the bond angle in PH3 is 93.6 degree. That means this bond angle is smaller. Now we are well aware that if we have the lone pair and if we have the bond pair of electron, there is a repulsion between the lone pair electron and bond pair electron, which we call it lone pair bond pair repulsion. So here in both the cases of the ammonia as well as PH3, there will be lone pair bond pair repulsion. But my dear students, there will also be kind of repulsion which is known as the bond pair repulsion. So here there will be bond pair repulsion